Okay, dear Dhamma friends, so we have come to the second question and answer session. We can start with written questions.
Venerable Sir, we have a total of 11 questions today,
Okay.
Of which about 5 are general questions.
Right.
You want me to start on meditation questions? Sir?
Yes.
Most Venerable Bhante, sitting meditation. When you keep observing sensations in the body, if you come into a state where one can feel many sensations and your mind is alert to every thought that comes, and at that time I just keep observing and can be in this state for some time. Bhante, I need to know what I should do next. Thero Saranai.
So the question is related to say we can say more into Dhatu Manasikara or even to feelings, Vedananupassana. So they are actually if you have some diverse attention, some unfocused attention, then you may be able to catch many sensations. But if you are able to focus your attention, correctly aim your attention, then you may be able to catch a fairly small area of sensations. So that would be much easier to observe, because our idea is to have a kind of located or localized area, some small area, and there we are trying to see how they are behaving, say how they are starting, how they are evolving, changing, and then ultimately disappear. So but if you are maintaining your attention to fairly wide area, then everywhere things are changing, so it's very difficult to understand the exact nature. So it is therefore try to locate. Now at the moment, suppose you are able to sense various things, many sensations. Among them, check which one is more prominent, and to that prominent sensation you pay more attention. You have to properly focus that. You need to maintain the right amount of energy, effort. Then you can maintain some kind of distance with it and have a close observation. So you need to clearly understand. Now we are not sort of trying to control it. We are not trying to impose anything. And again, since we are not putting our hand kind of distance watching, so just relax, in a relaxed way, just observe. What we are observing is the most prominent sensation. So not everything, but the most prominent one. Yes, we are going to the next questions.
Most Venerable Bhante, in walking meditation, now I feel the movements of my right and left foot, and when I walk along the tile floor, I feel the softness, and walking along the sand floor, the coarseness as well. Also, I feel the way of bending my knees, the moving of my legs as well. Please guide me to the way to improve this and how to go to the next step. Theruvan Saranai.
So you are in the beginning of say understanding these various natural characteristics. The more say characteristics which is more sort of individual. Say if in typical terms, in Buddha's terms, so our body consisting of 4 main elements: Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. That is the earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. So that is another way of understanding this body. So they are at the beginning we may feel simply as left, right, like that. We are beginning as very basic way, so that we can establish mindfulness, because without establishing mindfulness we can't do anything. So at the very beginning it is a matter of avoiding distractions and establishing mindfulness. So we use various techniques for that, either labeling, noting, and then paying your attention. So if you are successful in establishing mindfulness, then you can slowly reduce the get rid of this labeling and just be with the experience. More you be with the experience, ultimately it will drill down to some elements characteristics. That means, say, in the earth element, you may feel coarseness, roughness, softness, lightness, heaviness, like that, certain characteristics. Water element, kind of flowing, cohesion, that type of characteristics. Air element, movement, vibration. So those are the air element characteristics. And the fire element, you may understand like hot or cold. So these are the primary characteristics of elements. So when you understand that, when you are able to come to that level, so don't put any label there. So don't try to figure out whether it is in my leg, it is in my arm, whether it is in my head. So that is, if you are trying to do that, again you are going wrong in the backward, in the wrong direction. When you are coming to the very direct knowledge of these characteristics, element characteristics, just be with that. So suppose you are successful in it and you are able to now be with these elements characteristics, and there see which one is again prominent. Among these 4 elements, one is prominent at a time. So can't have all 4 prominent at the time, only one will be prominent. From among those 4 elements, so find out which one is more prominent and check using what you are recognizing its prominence. Say if it is fire element, so it is fairly hot, so the fire element is predominant. So you just feel it. Now just take it as a fire element, dhatu. That means you have no control at all. It is not you, it is not yours, and you have no control. So you just a kind of acknowledgement, acceptance, receiving, and simply observing it, kind of in a way kind of surrendering and simply observing it. More and more you observe it closely in a relaxed manner, you may able to find more detail, how subtle variations are happening. At the beginning you may only get the coarse variations, rough variations, but as your mindfulness sharpens, you may able to find even very tiny subtle variations. So that's the improvement of the meditation. So more and more you need to be able to get that kind of subtle variations, and you have to be fully in it, fully observing. Now you can't have various other things in the mind, because if you are enjoying various other things, you can't get this information, this detail. So more and more now you are in it, you are experiencing it, you are observing the characteristics, and if you are continuing like this, there will be a state that you will be slowly coming out of it. So then you get some kind of feeling that characteristics are there, feelings are there, but what your mind is more focused is how they are appearing, how they are disappearing, how they are appearing again, how they are disappearing. So you are not more interested about the individual characteristics. Instead, you may be more focused on how they are appearing and disappearing, arising and passing away. So it will naturally happen. So you need to allow it. So this is how it evolves. Yes.
Most Venerable Bhante, sitting meditation. Sometimes I experience sudden movement of my hands and also vibrations. Could you please explain the cause for this and what I should do about it? Thero Saranai.
I'm happy if you can begin with what is your primary object and giving some information. So I don't know what is your primary object, how you are progressing. So in general I can say when you are doing particularly in the sitting meditation, when the mind is calming down, there may be certain kind of triggerings, surges kind of things happening. So that is quite okay. So don't try to find causes for those things. So that's an indication that certain areas are now triggered. So it's a good in a way, good signs to know that you are progressing. And when you are progressing, actually what happens is in the brain there are certain areas get stimulated. So due to that you get some kind of jerks, some kind of immediate jerks. You have no control. You didn't expect that. So so don't worry about it. So with time those things will disappear. So nothing to worry about it. So again, if you need more clarification, please raise your hand and ask the questions. So otherwise we are proceeding to the next question.
Venerable Sir, during the sitting meditation period, after a short time, I felt the mind very tranquil and peaceful. Then I got a pain on my leg and I concentrated on the pain and it gradually went away. Then again my mind became tranquil and I felt that there was no sound and was not aware of the surroundings for a long period. There were no thoughts and I don't know what happened, and suddenly when I opened my eyes, more than an hour had passed and I felt very peaceful and went to do my walking meditation with the same state of mind. And it took me a while to come back to normal. For your advice and guidance, Venerable Sir.
So this is kind of a turning point in your meditation. So far at the beginning, so we need to have an object to establish mindfulness. So our mind stays with an object. So typically it is not with one object, so it is with thousands, millions of objects. So it's a kind of a distracted mind. But through meditation, we are reducing the number of objects, and in general in the samatha meditation, we are trying to remove so many objects and just keep our attention on one object. But on the other hand, in the vipassana, not thousands and one object, but with little amount of objects, but object is changing, we are having a continuous mindfulness. Anyway, both cases, we are associating an object. But in vipassana, the beauty is that while you are doing it, while you are observing these variations in the object, ultimately you may even come to a situation, once your observation finish, say you are observing some kind of tightness. So you may see that tightness begins, it may change, it may vary. And you are totally with it. There are no any distractions. That is how even this question explained. So at that time you are fully in it. No thoughts, no inner chatter. You are fully with the observation. So while you are doing it, there may be a situation, your mind come to a state without an object. So it's very difficult to logically explain it, but it is possible. That means you are establishing mindfulness with object and you are observing objects very closely. But when the observation is continuing, objects goes away and still mindfulness remains. So the yogi may feel like in a completely different environment, because so far his vocabulary only has objects. So you need to have an object to have mindfulness. But here it's a completely different. So it's a paradigm shift where your complete experience will come to a different state. So don't worry. So your mindfulness is capable of having experience without an object. So you need to theoretically acknowledge it, theoretically accept it. So there is a possibility to have mindfulness without an object. And it is more beautiful and more pure. So whenever you have mindfulness with an object, that object actually colors the mind. Whatever the characteristics of object, whatever the characteristics the object has, those characteristics influences the mind. But when there is no object, you are coming to the very original state of mind, which is nothing other than very pure, calm, peaceful state of the mind. But it is extremely boring at the beginning. So that is the disadvantage, because we are appreciating with respect to our defilement levels. So when the yogi first experience this thing, non-object or without an object situation, he doesn't appreciate it. Because your vocabulary only have objects and mindfulness. Mindfulness established through the objects. And when the other way around, the other way happen, you have no vocabulary. You have no way of expressing it. So the solution is keep going there again and again. Get ready to that. So you know the path, you know how to go there, and go there again and again. Make it abundant. So then you understand how to go there, how to stay there. If you could stay there for 1 minute, make it 2 minutes. If you could stay there for 5 minutes, make it 10 minutes. Like that, you have to make it a fairly long time so that you are very comfortable there. And it's a very pure state. Yes.
Venerable Sir, sitting meditation. I have been meditating daily for some time now and don't feel the breath anymore. I have experienced the state where one has no thoughts and everything feels empty, happy and peaceful. Since of late, whenever I sit, I feel as if the mind has gone to sleep. But I know I am not sleeping, aware of my posture, aware I am here and right now. I see the thoughts arise and they are lethargic, dreamlike and meaningless. I feel no physical discomfort, as if my body has blended with the surroundings. I find it a bit difficult to put this experience into words. On the whole, I feel like the mind has been running a race and now has stopped for a rest during the whole sitting session. Sir, please give me your valuable advice and opinion. Blessings of the Noble Triple Gem.
Actually, same kind of answer I have to give, the same experience that this yogi also has. So you are also in the same track. So this is more valuable and more purified state of mind. Because Buddha says in Sanimitta Vagga, in Anguttara Nikaya, Sanimitta bhikkhave uppajjati papaka akusala dhamma no animitta. So whatever the unwholesome states occurring in the mind, they are occurring, they are arising while with association with an object, with a sign. Sasanya bhikkhave uppajjati papaka akusala dhamma no asanya. So whenever unwholesome state arises in the mind, it appears with the help of a perception. Again, sanarammana bhikkhave uppajjati papaka akusala dhamma no anarammana. Whenever unwholesome state arising in the mind, it always associates a object, arammana. So now you are in an entirely different range, where there is no object, there is no sign, there is no perception. So this is a very pure state of mind. So you can go, you further and define it as animitta or sunyata. So these are the beginning of those very purified states. So this is the path towards the purification. So I have to encourage you, because this is the path that you are touching. So don't, as you said, so your mind is in a sort of a race, and now it has come to a still position. So you have to make it abundant. So when you are walking, try to see whether you are, even though the body is walking, mind still. Try whether you can do it. So body is walking and you are intentionally doing something, but still you feel that mind is completely at rest. Say you are listening is happening, but mind relax. You are not talking with the listening, no inner chatter. So these are the areas that you have to touch, you have to move. So these are the areas that you can further enhance, further improve your experience. So this is, what you have experienced is exactly correct, exactly valuable, and further improves it using the hints that I have given you. Yes.
Venerable Sir, normally I can walk for any length of time without a problem. But when I do walking meditation, in about 10 minutes, the back of my neck, spine and shoulders become painful and stiff. I find it difficult to be mindful of the walking. Second question. Is it possible to be mindful of breathing in any position other than the Paryankya, e.g. while walking to market, or waiting in a queue, or walking to the doctors? Blessings of the Noble Triple J.
Actually, it is possible. While walking, you can pay attention to breathing, but we don't usually encourage that, because the objective of walking meditation is something else. In the walking meditation, you are having many challenges, because you can see in the front, you can hear various sounds, because the environment is not so calm or peaceful like in the sitting area. The walking meditation has so many distractions, and eyes are wide open. Still, things are like that. If you can pay your attention to touch sensations of the soul, the left leg and the right leg, so that's an achievement. That is very necessary. So therefore, don't walk while keeping your eyes closed. So then you are not getting this challenge. So get the challenge. At the beginning it is difficult, is it true? But you can do it. So while keeping your eyes open, it is not like you are watching everywhere and walking, but maintaining some kind of distance, comfortable distance, and you are walking. And you can hear various sounds. Still you are walking, and while walking, the touch sensation also changes from left to right. At the beginning, say from left to right. Suppose among all these other objects, if you can focus only to this left leg sensation, then again it changes to right leg sensation, then to left sensation. So this is the path towards the vipassana. Because in the vipassana meditation particularly, object varies, object changes, while you are maintaining continuous mindfulness. So it's a very good training what you are getting through walking meditation. So therefore, take it as a challenge. You may not be 100% successful at the beginning, but with effort you can make it. So this section asks about certain pains at your backbone and wherever, many places. I feel that the answer is in the walking meditation, because there are many diseases, ailments, pains which can be overcome through walking meditation. So you might I don't know how in which speed you are walking. In walking meditation, don't try to go extremely fast or extremely slow. Just maintain some typical usual speed. Say you are going from your house to the shop, so you are maintaining certain very comfortable speed. If you can take that comfortable natural speed to your walking meditation, so that then it is more relaxing. There is no effort involved. You are not deliberately doing anything. But while walking, don't think any other thing. I mean, typically what happens is, while you are walking, our mind is not with the body. We are with something else. We are planning various things. We may be thinking about someone else. If you are going to shop, maybe be thinking whether the item that we are going to choose is there. So like that, many things are there. We are not with the body. Now this, in the walking meditation, only difference is, while walking, we are being with the walking, not with any other thing. So while walking, the touching is happening at your soles, the legs, various sensations occur at your knees, the weight transfers from the left to right. So all these things are certain things that you can experience. So be with that experiences. So if you can do it, I think that the answer for various issues like pains and all, those also will disappear.
Most Venerable Bhante, we thank you first of all for guiding us so well. When I observe my mind in daily life, the most horrible thoughts come to my mind. Mostly it is imagination relating to the future. Then I get reminded that the thoughts are not mine. I let it pass. It is observed again and again. My question is whether by only observing the mind in that manner, do we get closer to nirvana, or do we have to do more and more sitting and walking meditation to reach the goal faster? May you be happy, most venerable Bhante.
So actually what Buddha says is that our mind typically have negative potential. So that is the 5 hindrances: Kama, Chanda, Vyapada, Tina, Midda, Uddhaca, Kukkuca, Vicikicca. So those are the, say, sensual desire, the sloth and torpor, hatred, doubt, like that. The mind is corrupted with so many unwholesome states. So eliminating, or at the beginning just suppressing them, overcoming them is one side. At the same time, we have to develop the positive side in the mind. So that is what Buddha says, the 5 faculties. Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Saddha, the faith; Virya, effort; Sati, mindfulness; Samadhi, concentration; Panya, wisdom. So simply by watching, we can't do everything. I mean, if you simply think that just by watching mind I will ultimately attain Nibbana, so I think it is more because it is not so true. Because we need to, at the beginning we have to train the mind. We have to restrain the mind. Because through restrainment, you are sort of culturing the mind, sort of taming the mind, so that it has some kind of control. Once the mind is fairly controlled, you are developing it in the positive side, the faculties. And then once the faculties are developed, then it go to the power level, what you call bala, and then to the bojjhanga level, where you can understand at the faculty level, you can understand what is mindfulness, what is faith, what is wisdom. So like that, so these new positive states of mind you can understand. But typically we are lack of those things. Say, if you consider a typical person who is not meditating, his mind is everywhere. It is not with one object. You can't keep your mind immediately on breath. Either breath or whatever object, it does not stay there. Because your attention, the mindfulness, concentration is extremely weak. But we have various techniques to improve these faculties. Maybe mindfulness, concentration. So these are faculties that Buddha is introducing to have some positive power in the mind. So we are developing the positive power in the mind while we are removing or eliminating the negative power which we used to have in the mind. So ultimately, the negative power reduce and positive power overcome, the improves, and there may be a state that positive power is so powerful and it can completely eliminate defilements, and then is the way ultimately may happen at the Nibbana, where the defilements are understood and the causes are understood, and you have a capacity to have a completely pure state of mind. So we are discussing these things in the questions. So the Buddha's techniques, the Vipassana techniques that Buddha is explaining, is towards this kind of path. So I think that answer explains the situation.
Dear Venerable Sir, much merit for yesterday's excellent Dhamma talk. Please clarify for me whether vidarshana or insight occur automatically, or whether I should consciously direct my mind to the 4 elements and to anicca, dukkha, anatta when I meditate. Or should I develop my practice with both methods, a little conscious help from me and a little natural evolution? Please advise. May you always be well and happy, and may you achieve your noblest aspirations in this life itself.
So actually at the beginning we need to direct the mind, because mind is like a monkey where it is jumping from this to that. So we need to tame the mind. So there we have to involve. So we are getting the advice and we are sort of listening Dhamma, we are following the instructions, and according to the instructions we are taming the mind. But once your faculties develop, one certain amount of mindfulness established, you need to check by releasing the mind. So I hope you understand. So at the beginning, you are sort of taming. Suppose you have a kid who is very naughty and going here and there and not behaving as you wish. So you may be punishing him, you may be blaming him, you may be doing various things to tame him. And you are not giving up. And ultimately somehow due to your continuous observation, suppose that kid becomes very good. And now he is a very tamed person. And he is doing his homework and he is helping you, looking after the home. So like that now he is becoming very, sort of a good person. So again, at that time when he is really good, now you have to remove the grip. Now you have to stop punishing him. Now you have to stop blaming him. Because he is now good. So similarly our mind, at the beginning is a monkey mind, going from this to that. So you are using various techniques to tame it, settle it. So after a while, it stays on its own on the primary object, say for example. So when it is there, so now you have to reduce your hand. You have to slowly take your hand away. You have to reduce the effort. Once you are reducing effort only, mind will further develop concentration. So you have to balance this effort and concentration very well. At the beginning, no concentration, you are totally with the effort you are controlling. But later, as you gain mindfulness, it can stay with an object, and then you have to reduce effort and see whether mind itself is staying. Even if it distracted, whether it is coming in on its own. You don't need to pull it back. You have to let it go, and may even if the mind go to some other distracting thought, itself may come back. So you need to check this. So you have to release the mind, relax the mind, and see whether mind has this capacity now. Now it is kind of inbuilt to it. At the beginning there is no such capacity, but through training, now it has the capacity. So you need to check. Time to time you need to check where you are, where the mind is, how well it has developed now, at what state it is. So if mind is now fairly tamed, very peaceful, relaxed, so that's a good sign. Now your meditation has given certain capacity, certain skill to the mind. So what's the question asked?
Should I develop my practice with both methods, a little conscious help from me and a little natural evolution?
Yeah. So as I said, so at the beginning we need to do certain amount of controlling. But later on, when the mind itself is behaving well, when it has its proper capacity, when mind is purifying, when the mindfulness is established, powerful, then let it happen. Then you have to lose your hand. Then you have to become a silent observer. If you are putting your hand, then you are disturbing the process. So that you need to understand. Yes, that's a question. Excuse me, it's a question.
Venerable Sir,
yeah.
The question was actually mine.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, let's say I'm doing walking meditation, and as you said, the mind will sometimes be on the walking. Then the mind might go for a walk and come back naturally and go somewhere and come back, and
yes,
sometimes fairly often on the walking.
Yes.
And the walking is very light and happy and comfortable. Also the sitting session this morning, I was seated very happy and comfortable, and the mind was peaceful. Then again I had a lying down session because I'm sometimes in a lot of pain. And even that was quite peaceful. What happens is, the question really is, how do I go from there to the level of vidarshana? So, how do I allow the vidarshana, observation of the four elements, or an understanding of anicca, dukkha, anatta to arise automatically from these meditation experiences? Or should I try and direct my mind to say, this is anicca, this is dukkha, this is anatta, these are the elements? Or should I let there be a balance between the two?
Okay. So if you are able to say, when you are telling mind is so peaceful, is it peaceful with an object?
Yes and no. Sometimes it is peaceful with an object. Like this morning I was seated by the Buddha statue, and I was on the Anapanasati, and it switches automatically between the nostrils and the rising and falling. It goes back and forth. I think this morning it was mostly with the Anapanasati. And
your mind can just be with Anapanasati, rising, the in-breath and out-breath. So how you understand this is in-breath and this is out-breath?
I can feel that, and then there may be times when there is less obvious in-breath and out-breath, or the breath is very, very subtle. I don't think I have not got to a stage where I experienced the beautiful breath that you described yesterday, but I was trying this morning.
Yeah. No, what I am asking is, when you are understanding this is in-breath,
yes.
So what is the difference between in-breath and the out-breath?
In the in-breath, the breath is cooler, and I feel it in the upper part of the nostril.
Okay, so now you are using this cooler as a characteristic to distinguish. When it is more cooler, you define it as in-breath. When it is hot, you define it as it is the out-breath.
That is only one of the ways.
Yes.
Another is the direction in which the wind moves, and the third is when it's out-breath, where it touches is very different.
Okay, so now if you try to narrow down the questions, now these are the characteristics of certain elements that you are catching.
Yes.
So now forget about in-breath and out-breath. Now just be with this rubbing sensation. Just be with this, say, hot, cold sensation. So now you have to forget about the all concepts and just be with the characteristics of the elements. So, and these characteristics you need to closely observe. Fully involve in it and observe. Involve in the sense not you are trying to manipulate it. You are simply be with it. You have to cut off all the other things, and you have to fully observe it. When you are fully observing it, so you may be able to catch more and more detail, how they are starting, how they are changing, how they are ceasing. Again, how it is starting, how it is changing, how it is ceasing. Again, how it is starting, how it is changing, how it is ceasing. So like that, you have to closely observe it. So more and more you observe it, so your mind naturally get an understanding. So I have no control. It is simply appearing. It was not there. Now it is there. Now it is appearing. And when it is appearing, I can't control as I wish. It is changing. And this is disappeared. So now in front of your eyes, in front of your very nose, so you get the characteristics, you get the understanding. So it is out of my control, and you can't keep it as you wish. And when it begins, it does not stay as it is. It continuously, nanosecond level, it is changing. So when you are closely observing it, so you can see this variation, this changing nature. So that is the anicca. So the impossibility of controlling, that is the anatta. So it is not that you are sort of imposing it to your mind, but through observation, what you get a kind of a sort of inside understanding. So that represents the three characteristics. So it is not the terms that we are understanding. There are certain things that the terms represent. No, say anicca means continuously changing. It never stop at one state. Whenever it is beginning, it may be slowly beginning and it's its vibration changing very rapidly and then ultimately cease. So that's in a continuous flow, in a flux. So that's the impermanence. So, and you have no control at all. So typically, when we say something belongs to us, that indicates we have some kind of control. But here, we have no control. So that means it is anatta, non-self. So, I mean, you can't have your grip, you can't have your mastering there. And if it is changing incessantly, then there is no way you can find happiness there. I mean, if something to be happy, at least it has to stay at this happy state, no? Suppose among 1,000 states, say you define a particular state as a happy state. But if this process does not stay in that state, it is so transient, so very speed, very fast. So then this happy state never lasts, and you have no control. So therefore it is not satisfactory. So it is dukkha. So this is how we are understanding the three characteristics. It is merely by observation. So you get it is not through thinking, but by mere observation, you get some kind of disenchanting, just kind of leaving aside. So because you understood it. It is not the words. It's a kind of an internal understanding happens. But what you really understood is those main three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta. It is not by telling anicca, dukkha, anatta, but by mere observation you get an inner understanding. So I feel that you don't need to make anything artificial, but this proper observation, and even if you like, you can have a kind of an angle that now rather than just observing like in a passive way, you say, for example, you can simply watch like no purpose of watching. So then you are in a sort of negative state. It is not, but kind of in a sort of some enthusiastic way you are observing. Kind of in order to learn, you are observing, and just to keeping in mind that this may be impermanent, you are observing. So your angle is little different. So you are seeing that it is true that it is changing. So like that you can encourage it. So anicca sanya. So through the perception of impermanence you are observing, but not imposing. Hope understood.
Yes, Venerable Sir. Okay. Thank you.
So
very
you
much.
can ask further. Today also you practice. Tomorrow you can ask. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much merit to you.
Venerable Sir, there are 3 questions in this. Question number 1, is samatha and vipassana inseparable? Question number 2.
Wait. Samatha and vipassana inseparable. Actually, we can say they have some major differences. As I said in the samatha meditation, so the objective is to calming down the mind. There is no much involvement of handling defilements. Defilements are simply subsided, and your main focus is to have attention on one object. So object has to be constant. Object should not change. So you have some kind of permanent notion that object does not vary, does not change. It stays as it is, and mind was distracted. But now you are trying to control the mind and to have this object again and again. Only this object as the focusing point of the mind. Without many objects, now fill the mind with one object. So this is the type of vipassana. So rather in the samatha. But in vipassana, object may vary, but you may have continuous mindfulness. And that is actually in a way in the beginning. But vipassana is more broader, more widened than samatha, where it may start with that, say certain observation is there, so you are understanding the natural characteristics, so that is one stage. Then it may change to the common characteristics, the sort of, you may understand it is impermanent, it is changing, it is you have no control, like that you may understand at another level, so that is also vipassana. Then you may even go to it is the very fast, rapid rising and falling, rising and passing away, so that is another understanding, another level of vipassana. And you may come to a state there is no object and you are simply have to watch without doing anything, so that's another level of vipassana. So, and again you can observe the mind states, how they are appearing, you may understand the tendencies in the mind, so that those also we can say vipassana. So it's a very broader subject, but samatha is a very, very narrow area where you have to have a particular object, and only to that object you are focusing and paying your attention. Yes.
Second question: is it necessary to practice samatha up to the fourth jhana and turn on to vipassana to proceed on the path?
Not essential. So it is enough to have excess concentration without any jhana. So if one has jhana, he has to have a fair amount of mastery in jhana. So if you are turning from jhana to vipassana, so still you have to emerge from jhana and practice vipassana. So you can't practice vipassana while in jhana. Say you are in first jhana and you suppose one is well established there, one is capable in being there, and you have to emerge from jhana, and then whatever the feeling, whatever the mental states appearing after emerging, you have to observe. So then the vipassana happens. But on the other hand, it is enough to have excess concentration to turn towards vipassana. It is not essential to go to jhana. So that is what we encourage, where we don't go to the levels of jhana. Instead, at the level of excess concentration, or what we call as upachara samadhi, you can turn towards vipassana, because that level is more than enough. So an indication that whether you have excess concentration is the point that we are trying to verify. When you are, say, suppose your primary object is anapanasati, there you may come to a state your mind stays with the breath. You don't need to force it to be with the breath. Now you can understand the beginning of the in-breath, middle of the in-breath, end of the in-breath, beginning of the out-breath, middle of the out-breath, end of the out-breath. So you are fully comfortably staying with breath. After a while, you may come to a state where you can't distinguish. So that's an indication that you are in excess concentration. So once you reach there, again you need to establish there for a while. I mean, you have to sustain that state for a while, and with that developed concentration, you can observe, say, various sensations in the body appearing naturally. So that is the turning point towards vipassana. Yes.
Third question: what is meant by sukha vipassana?
Yeah, sukha vipassana typically means that you are not much paying attention to samatha side at all. You are simply immediately trying to deal with either pains or either thoughts or any kind of sensation. So you are not, say, for example, you may not do any anapanasati. You are simply trying to observe the sensations. So it's in a way very difficult, because your faculties are not sharp. Mind is distracting. When you are observing the sensation, your mind goes to something else. And again, you need to pull it back to observing sensation. So it is not so successful. But on the other hand, one can use certain tools like labeling. So whenever a distraction happens, you are labeling it. Okay, thinking, seeing, hearing. You are using this labeling as a tool to avoid distraction, or rather to avoid going it too far, to cut it off at the very beginning level and again then come back to the observation. So this is, we can say, as Sukha Vipassana, where there is no concentration happens at the beginning.
That's the end of the meditation questions. These are the general questions.
Yes.
Most Venerable Sir, according to Most Venerable Dhammajiva Thero, in his last Dhamma talk in Mitrigala, Dasutara, within brackets, Dasutara Sutta, retreat number 143, Mahathero mentions about Puti Mutta Besajja. Venerable Sir, can you please explain about this?
It is not related to meditation, by the way. So, Bhante actually has written a nice booklet related to this topic as Buddha Beta, Putimutta Besajja. So, it refers as some kind of medicine prepared using urine. So, some people have the idea that it may be one's own urine. Another group believes it as from a calf. It is taken from a young calf, and in that urine you may put some aralu. What is the English term for aralu? Sorry? You know the AAA, in AAA there's one medicine called aralu. So you put this aralu to this urine and keep it for a long time. And some add a little bit of ghee, you know, little bit of ghee also added to that. And you have to let it be there, you need to leave it for long time. And typically they put on a clay vessel. You take a clay vessel and put the, say, young calf urine, and then aralu and little bit of ghee, and keep it for a long time. Ultimately it becomes a type of a medicine, and it is good for many diseases. So that is one medicine that Buddha has recommended because it is so cheap. So there is no any expensive items involved there. What is available is extremely simple items, simple things, and it is answering to many diseases. So that is something that Buddha has recommended. So that is what we call as Putimutta Besajja.
Reverend Sir, there are 4 questions, and the person who gave the question has requested saying, Reverend Sir, if you are unable to take these questions in this forum, you will perhaps grant me a private audience. These questions are, and their answers are important to me, Mahin. Okay, so we want to discuss here, or we'll discuss then, is it? Or you want to have in private? No, he wants to know whether Bhante is, whether it's possible to discuss the 4 questions here. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Question number 1. What is the difference in having no attachment, knowing Dhamma, and not knowing Dhamma? No attachment, having Dhamma, and not having Dhamma. What is the difference in having no attachments, knowing Dhamma, and not knowing Dhamma? So I understand like this. Now, more you understand Dhamma, so that is, and not only the mere listening, but through practice. Through practice you understand how things they really are. And more you have this direct understanding, you understand it is out of your control. It is incessantly changing, rapidly changing. So there is no point of grasping it. There is no point of claiming it. There is no point of possessing it. So you simply let it go. You simply be as it is. So you let the things as the way it is. So this is a kind of a non-attachment. But on the other hand, one might have kind of unwise equanimity. Say you are not capable of any kind of situation, so you simply leave it aside. Say, I think respected Bhante is taking a kind of example. Say, suppose you are traveling by car, and a cow is
cow is crossing the road, and you keep horning. I mean, keep playing your horn. But still, it never understand. It doesn't do anything. It's a kind of equanimity, but it is not set on the proper understanding. It is simply neglecting what you are doing, but not according to Dhamma. I mean, just because of his own foolishness. So similarly, so you can have some kind of negligence, and it is not the proper understanding. It is not the proper equanimity. But what develops through Dhamma is more profound, where you have the capacity to react. You have the capacity to do something. But by thorough understanding that there is no point of doing, understanding that it is happening due to cause and effect, understanding it is happening due to certain karma, so you are simply being like you can't do anything. When you see things, you behave like a blind. When you hear things, you behave like a dumb. When you can do things very well, still you behave like you can't do anything. So that is a kind of equanimity developing through Dhamma. Yes.
Question number 2. Is it possible to practice vipassana when there is no experience of pain?
I mean, it is not a must to have pain. So if pain is there, you can use pain also as an object. Because now say for example, Buddha explains Anapanasati. In Anapanasati, you are going through observing in-breath and out-breath. So by going through Anapanasati, you may experience certain amount of happiness. But this happiness is a representation of feeling. It is not a pain. So typically the pain we refers as a negative side, right? It is painful. So we have the negative feeling. But in say for example in Anapanasati, you can still have a very happy feeling. But it is a feeling. It is also changing. So if one is capable of seeing it in that proper angle, this happy feeling does not belong to me. It occurs due to causes. I have no control. It appears, now it is changing, now it has disappeared. So if you can have this distance watching, then it is not necessary to be a pain. Even using a happy feeling, you can have the insight. Yes.
Question number 3. How do you determine whether your thoughts are influencing events or whether events are influencing your thoughts?
It's actually very difficult because in the recent quantum physics, they say that whenever you are observing, you have some kind of, I mean, even though you are not physically involved in any kind of action, this mere observation has the consciousness involved. So that's how the quantum physics ultimately giving certain aspect in the consciousness side, which is a kind of a radical decision that a scientist has taken, because typically they are in the physical side, material side. Now they are telling the material changes happening are due to the involvement of the consciousness. So that is, therefore you can't have a clear-cut definition that to this level consciousness does not involve. To this level consciousness involved. So you can't, as far as I understand, it's very difficult to have a clear-cut margin. So, and it is not necessary to have such margin also. I mean, it is not our experiment to find out this type of margin, or whether to have some kind of material change, whether it has happened due to the mental effect or due to consciousness. What's the point? So we are here to, within this short lifespan, to realize Dhamma. It is more important than this scientific way of looking at things. Yes.
Final question. Does the Buddha describe stroke, explain death? If so, where?
Sorry? Explain death?
Yes.
Actually, so many places Buddha explains death. because death is part and parcel of our life. So whenever we start our life, we are coming with death. So jati paccaya jara marana. In the Paticcasamuppada, Buddha explains death. So whenever birth occurs, so we take in our hand the death. Jati paccaya jara maranam. The death occurs because of the birth. So there he explains death. Then in Marananusati meditation, there he explains death. What else? And in the Kayanupassana, so there are 9 death contemplations. You know, Navasivatika, where a monk or a yogi go to a charnel ground and observing how the dead body is evolving, how it is starting with a very say as a dead body, then how it becomes bloated, how it is disintegrated, how the pus and all are coming out, then how the animals are coming and eating it. So the various stages of the dead body. So they are also Buddha has explained. So death actually has taken as a meditation object and as a factor or rather a conditioned phenomena in the Paticcasamuppada. So at many places Buddha has explained death. Yes. So if I don't know why you are asking this question. So if you feel that you need more clarification, we can discuss. I feel it is enough. So it's a matter of trying to avoid many deaths. So so we are already born. So you can't avoid this death. So you will ultimately die. So you can't avoid death in this life. So Buddha says, Natti jatassa amarana. So whoever has birth, there is no amarana. There is no death situation. He has to die. So there is no medicine, there is no superpower avoids or stops death. So if it's a matter of stopping the birth. So why birth has happened? So Buddha's explanation is that. So why the repeated birth is happening? Again and again you are reborn to the world. As a human being, as an animal, as a hell realm being. So it's so difficult, so suffering. So why you are again and again coming to the samsara? Again and again going to the mother's womb? So that is the question Buddha is searching. What are the causes? And one major cause is the avijja, the ignorance. So through his method, his understanding, his Dhamma, he is explaining what are the causes, how to cut off this ignorance. So when one is able to cut off this ignorance, you can avoid this future births. Births are happening due to wrong understanding, avijja. And when the causes for avijja is eliminated, when the avijja is penetrated, no more avijja, so this will be the last death. So it's a complete cessation. That's the attainment of the Nibbana. Okay, I think so that's all the written questions. So if you have any oral, if you need anything to discuss, we can discuss, or else we can wind up the session. Okay, I think so. That's all the questions. So we have to have the Dhamma sermon at 5 p.m. So today please be here at 5 p.m. So we are conducting Dhamma talk today at 5 p.m. So we will wind up the question and answer session. Thank you very much for participation.
Okasavandami bante.
Sukhi hotu.
Maya katam punyang samina anumoditabang.
Sadhu sadhu anumodami.
Samina katam punyang maihanda tabang.
Sadhu anumoditabang.
Sadhu anumodami. Okasubaratiyena katang sabbang acchayang.
Kamami kamitabang.
Okasa kamami bante.
Sukhi hotu nibbana paccayo hotu. Sukhi hotu nibbana paccayo hotu.
Okasa bante.
Sukhi hotu nibbana paccayo hotu.
Tanggunamantam punya ketang anuttarang dullabena maya laddang passitung vanditung varang සාරිපුත්තාදි තේරාණං ආගතං පටිපාටියා සද්දා සීලං දයාවාසං බුද්ධ පුත්තං නමාමහං.
Sukhi hotu nibbana paccayo hotu. May you be well, may you be happy, may you attain nibbana.